This Halloween card looks tricky, but it's hauntingly easy to make. Just a scoreboard, some stencils, and a spooky surprise inside. Now I'm starting with some awesome green textured paper from your Paper Insider, and I'm cutting down the middle of an 8.5 by 11 piece at 4.25. So you've got two long sheets that are 4.25 by 11 inches. So you've got two long pieces, which is great if you want to make two cards at a time. Right now, I'm just going to make one card for demonstration purposes. You do need a scoreboard. This is just a way to fold paper. If you don't have one, then you can use a ruler and draw out your lines. But I'm going to be scoring at 2.75 from each side. So you flip it around, you score at 2.75. And what I'm using here to score is a piece of plastic. It's actually called a bone folder, and it's very useful for helping to not only make the score lines, but then you can use the flat side and press down your fold to make a nice crisp fold. When you're doing fun folds, you want everything to fold very easily. Make sure you got your measurements correct. This is going to fold completely so that it can open up with that haunting surprise. Now you can leave it like this, but I love for my gatefold cards to have kind of a wing. It just gives it a little bit more structure. And so I'm going to cut extra black panels that I have. These were just some scrap pieces that were big enough, and I cut them to 3.75 by 5. And I'm going to do two of these, and that's going to help me add a little bit of detail and just some extra sturdiness to my card. These flaps are going to hold some of those cute little spooky eyes, and I'll show you how we do that. And I want my panels to be as crisp as possible, so you see me kind of running the trimmer over it. There was just a little piece hanging off, so I have two of these black panels. Let's score them, and I'll show you how these fit on the card. And then, of course, we're going to do some amazing decorating with paste, and I'm going to show you two different types of paste and how they look so that you can grab something from your stash and check it out with the stencil. Now, if you haven't done it yet, make sure you hit the like and subscribe on my channel. I would love to have you here, and I'm getting close to some big milestones and would love to have your support. About 70% of people who watch my videos aren't actually subscribed, and it helps me so much and my videos to get more views if you will subscribe and hit the like button. So we're scoring at 2.5 right here, and this is going to be the panel that makes our little gatefold stronger and just feel more professional. So do this on both of your pieces, flatten it out with that bone folder, or just really make sure that they fold great. Now this is how they're going to look. So we're going to fit them around this open edge, and they will fit perfectly to be a great outline, and then the card will kind of open up. I don't have them glued on yet because I want to make sure. We still need a black piece for that center. Now you can use a paper cutter if you want. I'm going to also show you how having some simple nested rectangle dies can really help with these fun fold cards. But I'm going to give you those measurements that I'm using so that you will have them. We are going to cut this center piece. So this will be the black piece in the middle of our fun fold. And then you see I'm getting out a second rectangle die. That's going to be for the piece that we stencil. So for this first piece, the measurements on it, I'll pop up in the bottom. So if you're doing this just by measuring, then basically these dies are 0.25 on each edge smaller. So it's just like using your paper cutter to trim things down, but I'll make sure we pop up measurements so that you can see. And I'm going to use two other of these rectangle dies just to make things simple, but don't worry, I will pop up the measurements in case all that you have is a paper trimmer. So I ran that through the die cutting machine, and it gives me this perfect rectangle, which is nice not to have to trim it. Definitely a little bit faster sometimes than your paper trimmer. And then I've got this frame that I could use for something else if I want. The other way that we're going to kind of recycle and use our paper a little bit more efficiently is that I'm going to cut from the center of this rectangle because I know this is just a layering piece. So the other black rectangle that I'm hoping to use, I'm going to grab that and cut from the center of this just to save paper. This is something that you can always do, and that way nobody knows that you've cut out that rectangle from behind it. You're going to have this main piece covered up. So I'm going to cut this rectangle that's going to hold our card together, and let me pop up the details on that. Now let me show you how this is starting to come together. We still have some things to do, but we're going to put that black rectangle in the middle, and then we'll have these side pieces that will be flaps that kind of make it not only a gatefold, but it kind of stretches out even more than that. But we do need some type of pattern and something exciting in this card. So I'm going to create two stenciled backgrounds, and I'm going to show you the difference in both. And then we're going to use those as panels. These spooky eyes from the Stamp Timber release are super cute and really make a wonderful pattern paper. Now, if you have some Halloween pattern paper, that's perfectly fine. I just love the definition and how it kind of the eyes raise out with a little bit of paste. So let me show you the two pastes we're going to try. Now, this is a yellow lunar paste, but when you put it over this purple paper, and this purple paper is just a nice dark purple, it really looks like these eyes are glowing. So if you don't have any glow in the dark paste or glow in the dark embossing powder, this is kind of a way to get around that and still make the eyes look like they're glowing. So we're going to do this yellow paste. Look at how beautiful this looks when you remove it. So those yellow eyes look like they're glowing on top of this beautiful purple paper from your Paper Insider. Now, I wanted the inside of the card to look a little bit different, so I'm gonna do that same purple paper, but I'm gonna use the Altenew Shimmer Relief Paste in Pearl. This is a white pearly paste, and I'm gonna have this as my inside little eyes. I almost thought of it like they're glowing in the dark on the outside, and they're kind of pinking out in the middle. So look at how beautiful this looks. I'll raise it up to the camera so that you can kind of see the shimmer on it as well. This looks so cute, and you could have done the whole thing in this or the whole thing in Lunar Paste, that's perfectly fine. I was just playing around and really liked how this turned out. Now, I did let all of these pastes dry for at least an hour. Lunar Paste dries a little bit faster than the Shimmer Relief Paste, and I'm going to cut these eyes to fit on the black flaps in the front. So we got some little spooky eyes looking at us, and we're going to cut it to this measurement. And this is going to be a little bit different than our others because I want it to fit where it perfectly goes in the center. So it's only got a black edge around three sides. So that makes our cut 3.5 by 2 3/8 inches. And that leaves just a teeny little peeking of that black panel. And it also helps when you're doing some type of stenciled panel with paste that you make sure that you've got a little bit of backing to it because sometimes it wants to warp a little bit. So this will also help our card be very flat and work really well. And remember to pay attention which way you're cutting it so that you've got the eyes looking the same way on your panels. So I made sure that my longer vertical cut was where the eyes are kind of looking straight at me, but you just need to keep that consistent so the front of your card looks correct. So the longer cut on this was 3.5 and the shorter cut was 2 3/8 inches. And just wait till you see how this comes together and how it opens up. It's not your basic traditional fold. It has some extra flaps to it, and I just don't know what to call it. Y'all tell me in the comments what in the world you would call this specific fun fold card. So just wait to see, and I'll show you how I put it together. And I can't wait to see what you call it so that I know for next time if I make another one of these. Okay, so let's move into getting all these things glued together, and then we're going to move into the spooky surprise inside of the card. So we've got these folded pieces of black that we've already done, and we've got our cut down pieces of purple with yellow lunar paste. Now, you want to make sure that your eyes line up with the fold, okay? Because this fold is going to wrap around another piece of a card. So I highly suggest using glue so that you can scoot that to meet the fold. Now, before you start the second panel, take a gander, look and make sure that things are lined up the way that they're going to be on the card. Because if you're not careful, you might have one set of eyes that's upside down, and you want to make sure that you've got this where it goes and you're doing the appropriate panel. So, see, I'm lining things up. And remember, this eye panel is going to meet perfectly in the middle. So those eyes need to be lined up against the crease. It'll leave a little black outline around the rest, but make sure they line up great so that when you put this on the front of the card, that looks amazing. So I'm going to add some pressure to this just to make sure all the glue sets, and then let's glue the card together and we'll start working on that spooky center. So I took a break from voicing over this video and decided to try to figure out what in the world I was going to call this. I'm going to call it an expanding gatefold. Someone said, one of my card making friends said these are expansion wings. So I don't know if that's what type of terms y'all think, but I would love to hear what you would call it because I think all of these things have there's so many different types of fun folds that it would be interesting to have a specific name for what I'm doing. Now pay attention to your eyes and also pay attention. We're only doing glue on one side of this because we want the other wing to fold out. So we're gluing that inside wing down. So just make sure when you're getting this together, you will see me double, triple, quadruple check that I've got everything lined up the way that I want it. And I love using glue for this purpose. I'm using Barely Art glue. That's one of my faves, and lining this up, and then I'm going to use an acrylic block to hold some pressure. All right, so let me show you how this card moves. And that way you can kind of see I did press down always with my bone folder, making sure my creases are nice here. I've already done this, but I just felt like I needed to redo it. Look at how that opens. Isn't that going to be so cute with our little spooky surprise inside there? Okay, now we need to cut our inside panel. Remember, I told you I was using the rectangle dies from Waffle Flower, and the measurement on this inside panel is 4.5 by 3.25, which fits perfectly inside the other rectangle, which is 4.75 by 3.5. So basically, it's 0.25 on each side. And you can see that I tried some different things on this purple paper on the back, but you can always use the opposite side, especially when you're doing some kind of paste. It does not show through. So we're going to create these little eyes on this panel, and then we're going to add our little spooky element. So I'm going to add this panel to the center, and then we need to still add something to the front of this card, just to kind like a little flap to help kind of keep it closed, but also to give it a nice sentiment. So I'm going to put this right here in the middle with the glue, and then we will stamp on that small rectangle that we cut out for our sentiment and attach it to the front so it's got a little opening. And I thought this would be fun to heat emboss in white embossing powder. So I do powder this whole piece. And then I'm going to use the stamp set Halloween Basics. And I'm powdering this on top of the stamp wheel plate. That way I don't get the powder on the sticky mat. Just a quick little tip that works really well if you're doing some heat embossing. So we're going to stamp Boo, and we're going to use bright white embossing powder. I'm going to take you through that quickly. I'm adding clear embossing ink. It's called Versamark, and I'm going to stamp this, and then I'm going to add the white embossing powder. It's from Wow Embossing, and it's called Opaque Bright White. You'll see how this boo kind of comes to life. We do need to heat this up. And then once everything's heated and cooled, we need to wipe it off with a little microfiber just to remove that excess dust that we put on there, or anti-static powder, and it'll make it bright black with this white sentiment. So to make this a really strong closure, I'm going to add 2 extra rectangles behind my boo, and that's just to make sure that when people are pulling on this, they don't accidentally bend it or anything like that, and it also helps it stand straight off the card, which sturdiness just makes a card feel more professional. We're going to use this twisty haunted house from the Simon Says stamp release. We're going to cut some purple roofs, some glitter for the beautiful house, and then we're going to use a quick marker to create some glowing effects. And you can do this with any kind of marker. I'll show you which one that I used, but let's get it glued down, and then we will add that detail. This little house is so cute. So I added Y17 Copic marker. It's just a yellow marker just to make it look like the inside of the house was glowing. I also thought this kind of coordinated with the look that we had with our lunar paste, our yellow lunar paste. And so I just thought that kind of coordinated with the card. And I went on and just kind of colored in each of the little windows. And then we're going to add those purple accents. And this thing is so cute. Now, this is the leftover pieces of purple that we had. Remember, I did the stenciling on. This is that same color, so perfectly coordinated with the rest of our card. And this die allows you to do the little tops, like the roofs and around the windows. And it just gives it that extra cute little look. I thought the opening should also say Happy Halloween, so I'm actually fussy cutting this because I don't have a die for this, and I think it turned out great. You know, fussy cutting sometimes is a little bit, um, worrisome because you're worried it's just gonna look like you hand did it, but I really don't think that you notice, especially with this much going on a card. Just do it if you want your sentiment to look different, and I wanted it to have a little bit more shape than just being another rectangle on a card of a lot of rectangles. So, I did fussy cut this, and we're gonna put this on the in the center so that the card on the outside says "Boo," and then it opens up to that haunty house, and then this fun sentiment, "Happy Halloween." I just think my kids and teens would love this card. Tell me what other kind of cards you see making this fun fold for. I really see this as a birthday card would be so beautiful. I think that it's just for any type of fun event when you can move the card and get a little surprise inside, it's really fun for the person who's receiving it. I also love that you could add a little message on the inside of those black flaps with some white pen, and it would be really nice and personal for your recipient. Now, if you're on a fun fold card or just interactive card binge today, then I will definitely pop up a video for you that you may want to see. It's another one of my fun fold cards that's different than this. So you can just go right into that video and check it out. Tell me what you think. Did you love this card as much as I did? I want to hear what kind of cards you're going to make like this. And make sure you've hit the like and subscribe on my channel. I hope to see you again very soon. Have a great day. Bye.